Injera is a sourdough-risen flatbread with a unique, slightly spongy texture. Traditionally made out of teff flour, it is a national dish in Ethiopia and Eritrea. A similar variant is eaten in Somalia and Djibouti, Yemen, and Sudan. Ingredients and cooking method. The most valued grain used to make injera is from the tiny, iron-rich teff. However, its production is limited to certain middle elevations and regions with adequate rainfall, so it is relatively expensive for the average household. As many farmers in the Ethiopian highlands grow their own subsistence grain, wheat, barley, corn, and/or rice flour are sometimes used to replace some or all of the teff content. There are also different varieties of injera in Ethiopia, such as nech, k and tikka. In making injera, teff flour is mixed with water and allowed to ferment for several days, as with sourdough starter. As a result of this process, injera has a mildly sour taste. The injera is then ready to bake into large flat pancakes. This is done either on a specialized electric stove or, more commonly, on a clay plate placed over a fire. Unusual for a yeast or sourdough bread, the dough has sufficient liquidity to be poured onto the baking surface, rather than rolled out. In terms of shape, injera compares to the French crêpe and the Indian dessert as a flatbread cooked in a circle and used as a base for other foods. The taste and texture, however, are unique and unlike the crêpe and dessert, and more similar to the South Indian appam. The bottom surface of the injera, which touches the heating surface, will have a relatively smooth texture, while the top will become porous. This porous structure allows the injera to be a good bread to scoop up sauces and dishes. Consumption. In Eritrea and Ethiopia, a variety of stews, sometimes salads or simply more injera, are placed upon the injera for serving. Using one's right hand, small pieces of injera are torn and used to grasp the stews and salads for eating. The injera under these stews soaks up the juices and flavors of the foods and, after the stews and salads are gone, this bread is also consumed. Injera is thus simultaneously food, eating utensil, and plate. When the entire tablecloth of injera is gone, the meal is over. In Somalia, at lunch, the main meal of the day, injera might also be eaten with a stew or soup. Contemporary use. In Eritrea and Ethiopia, injera is eaten daily in virtually every household. Preparing injera requires considerable time and resources. The bread is cooked on a large, black, clay plate over a fire. This setup is a stove called a mitad or mogogo, which is difficult to use, produces large amounts of smoke, and can be dangerous to children. Because of this inefficient cooking method, much of the area's limited fuel resources are wasted. However, in 2003, a research group was given the Ashton Award for designing a new type of stove for cooking injera. The new stove uses available fuel sources for cooking injera and other foods efficiently, saving the heat from the fuel. Several parts are made in the central cities of each country, while other parts are molded from clay by women of local areas. However, many women in urban areas now use electric injera stoves, which are topped with a large metal plate. In the United States, injera is most often made on a Bethany electric Lefse griddle, particularly among the large Somali community in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area. Outside of the Horn of Africa, injera may be found in grocery stores and restaurants specializing in Eritrean, Ethiopian, or Somali foods. Varieties of injera are also eaten in Yemen, as well as Sudan. See also. References. External links: Mesob across America, Ethiopian food in the USA. A book about the history and culture of Ethiopian cuisine, Ethiopian food, Mesob across America. A blog about Ethiopian food, Ethiopian restaurant guide includes video visits to some restaurants, Ashton Awards, injera bread stove.